It's December 13, 2023, and I just finished Dr. No 007, James Bond. This is, let me get my notes. Oh, great, I closed my notes. So I have to go back to, oh, this is going to be a disaster. Anyway, From Russia with Love, there was a cliffhanger at the end of the book. I'm doing all this from memory at this point because I closed my notes like a doofus. Anyway, James Bond seemed to have died at the end of From Russia with Love. But at the beginning of this book, you find out that a couple other agents saved him. And M was very unhappy with him, almost to the point like, what kind of spy are you kind of thing? I'm going to put you on a crummy mission. And he sends him to this island, and he's kind of like hanging around to investigate what's going on in this island, what kind of criminal thing is going on in this island. And of course, Dr. No is running his enterprise on the island. But what he's really doing behind the scenes is for him to find out, I think. So he's observing what's going on the island, and he meets this girl. And really, the whole first half of the book was James Bond and this girl, and them bonding together, not sleeping together, but bonding together, and learning what's going on the island and her take on everything she sees. And this is the sixth Bond book. I've read them all in order, which worked out good because there was that cliffhanger at the end of the last one. And if you hadn't read it in order, some of this wouldn't make sense. But this ended up being the first James Bond movie. So you can see the order is all screwed up in the movies, and the scripts are different to different degrees from book to book. Some are nowhere like the book, and some are very close to the book. I'm not going to go into that depth on whether this is close to the book or not, because it's been years since I watched these older movies. But they save him. There's elements of racism again in this book, and almost all of the books have element of racism. I will say there's a term in this that I've never heard before, and I'm not going to repeat the term, but it's a hybrid racist term involving Chinese and African Americans, or Africans, I guess. And they kind of morph a terrible word together for both of them. And it's in there quite often, and it's quite insulting to both of those groups. So again, I don't approve of any of that. It's in there. It's written in the 50s or 60s, whatever year it was written, and I'm not giving them a pass. Let's see, 1958, this was published. So times were, I wouldn't say they were different per se, because there is racism still existing today, but perhaps it was more overt or more spoken of than it is now. People kind of hide stuff a little bit better. But yeah, that's in there. The other thing that's in there is that the girl, Bond doesn't know if she's at legal age. So that makes you kind of cringe the whole time that they're wanting to sleep together. And they finally do at the end of the book, and it's kind of like, ugh. So I don't know if they never say how old the girl is, which makes you really kind of like, he knows she's not of legal age. I get the impression she knows, but they kind of give him a pass because she's asking for him to be with her. So, I mean, yeah. So anyway, the things that besides that are kind of dumb about this book is he's hanging around for half the book, and then the bad guys just show up and capture him like no big deal. I'm thinking, wow, that's really great spy work. You just kind of get picked up and captured. And had it not been for the typical blabbing by the bad guy and setting up these illustrious death mechanisms like in, Austin Powers, where they say, why not just shoot him now? He could have been a sitting duck along with the girl. But he basically he tells him he's got this elaborate torture set up for both of them. And I won't tell you what it is, because if you read it, it'll take the fun out of that part. If you find fun in theater of pain or theater of cruelty, I guess you would want to call it, this could have been one of the precursors for the Saw movie franchise. So I'm not going to give you too much detail, but it's kind of, elaborate trap kind of scenario that he's trying to get out of that goes from stage to stage to stage. And it reminded me a lot of Saw, just not as blatant, but pretty close, I guess. It's probably the most torturous, violent, maybe not, of all the books, but maybe. But as you'd expect, Bond finally escapes. And the way they explain away the girl's survival is kind of ridiculous, because this mastermind that's supposed to know everything and have this big elaborate plan of how to get rid of them both obviously doesn't succeed within either one of them. But with the girl, he particularly doesn't succeed. None of the things that he described would happen to her ended up happening to her at all. And it's kind of like, well, is he a mastermind or is he totally idiot? And I was going to go back to when they got caught. It reminded me of Ace Ventura Part 2, where the sidekick of Ace Ventura, his guide, says, "Ace, they caught me, no sweat." And that's what it reminded me of when they pulled them into the bad guy's lair and everything. It was like they didn't even try to hide or anything like that. They just showed up and there they are. The bad guys got them. So the stupidity of the final puzzle torture thing, whatever you want to call it, it was so not thought out that it was kind of stupid. So as far as ranking goes, I had previously ranked the books. I'd put this down there towards the bottom below Casino Royale. And I think Diamonds Are Forever was worse than this one. So if I ranked them in order, I'd say Moonraker is still the best. From Russia with Love was great, was after that one. Live and Let Die was pretty solid. Casino Royale was pretty solid, just short and a little bit depressing. Then this one, Dr. No, which had strong connection between the two characters, kind of grossed me out, and very implausible escape. And the way that they got captured was kind of ridiculous. And then Diamonds Are Forever, I just didn't like that book much at all. So that's my running order so far. And next up is Goldfinger, which I've heard is supposed to be pretty good. So I'm kind of excited about Goldfinger. And from what I've been told after that fact, after Goldfinger, they start to become not that great. The one after Goldfinger is a collection of short stories, and it's called For Your Eyes Only. And they think they made 2 movies from the short stories of that book, but I'm not sure. I got it right here. I'll look at the index if I can quickly do it. It's got For Your Eyes Only. It's got From a View to a Kill, Quantum of Solace. So those 2 were both James Bond movies, but I don't believe there's much from those that was used in the film. So just titles. One called Risico and one called The Hildebrand Rarity. It's only 150 pages, so you can imagine 5 short stories. They're going to be real short at about 30 pages a pop. So this will be quite different after reading the next novel, Goldfinger. And I believe after Goldfinger and the short story, there might be 3 novels and then another short story or something like that. I might be wrong in my count, but I've got it all documented here. So anyway, this, I wouldn't say it was a bad book. It's not a bad book. It's just kind of not plausible, I guess, I would say. Kind of ridiculous in a way, but if you could put that aside, still okay. A lot different than the movie. Let's see. I got comments over here. Love Dr. No growing up. Mr. Bond, please take a seat right over there. I'm currently playing Tom Sawyer on the drum. Oh, cool. Playing Tom Sawyer on the drums right now. Just got finished with my 5th pair of sticks because the song keeps on breaking them. Yeah, there's a lot of arm movement in Tom Sawyer, no doubt. Song beats the heck out of me. I can relate. I covered that, and I did it successfully except for one bar I think I double hit the snare pattern instead of on one bar I screwed it up, and I thought, man, at one point I might go back and redo that cover. But to be honest about Rush and Neil Peart, I haven't listened to them hardly at all after Neil's passing. It's quite depressing for me because they were one of my favorite groups, and there is rumblings right now that Rush is going to be rejoining with a new drummer that's supposed to be real well. So I don't know if it's the guy from Tool or the Dream Theater guy. I know both of those guys were in the running, but I don't want to see that. I think Rush should be done. They are not Rush without Neil Peart and or Peart. I'm saying his name wrong, but anyway, as far as Bond goes, I'm happy to be done with this one and on to the next one. I don't know what book I'm going to read next. I've got my family going to be here for Christmas, and I'm going to try to enjoy that. I may read something else, or I might just veg out for 2 weeks. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was Dr. No.